Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes Lunatics Patreon. Get early access to all of our interviews, including the monthly Chichester chats with writer and comic book legend DG Chichester, new episodes of classic Capes Lunatics shows, including The Quantum Zone, This, That, or the Third, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/CapesandLunatics. Hope to see you there. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's been another month. The Capes and Lunatics International. I am Phil. Joining me this time is the Signal of Doom, Mr. Dave Finn. Hello.
Hello, Phil. Hello, listeners. I have to represent Australia solo. Ray has pulled the family card and the visiting family card and is not with us. I'm not sure if you didn't meet his writer demands, Phil. If you
he is very diva-ish. Yeah.
Yes, he's blanked us and left us for one of the best issues of comics ever, featuring one of the greatest characters, Punisher, ever. And yeah, all I can say is I'm glad to be here, Phil, and thank you for having me as always.
I'm glad you're here. Yeah, I guess I think Ray's an old man. He decided to go to bed early. Maybe too much time on.
I want to see.
Too much time on YouTube playing with his deck. No.
I'll openly say this straight. I want to see pictures of him and all the family members he's mentioned holding the newspaper with today's date. You know what I'm saying? I want to challenge the authenticity. But I do want to say, Phil, we were talking before the show. It appears you're blowing up in regards to your Mark Waid interview. And were your hard-hitting journalism skills at the forefront? Did he tell you all the dirty secrets, or what was the story, man? Because he's famous now.
He made an offhand comment about, it's no secret. Everyone on the internet knows that he's not a fan of the Zack Snyder DC movies. So, he mentioned something about looking forward to James Gunn's movie, I believe. And he made a comment about a dog with heat vision. So
Crypto,
yes,
Crypto dog.
But he didn't call it out by name.
Okay, because my question to him straight away would be, does Crypto have the cape? Because if you recall back in Superboy's day, Crypto had a cape. Somewhere along the way, Crypto lost his cape. Now
I know, but because it went by, and then the next day, my buddy Tyler, who's there with me, said, "Did Mark Waid just confirm Crypto?" I was like, "I don't know," because we weren't sure because there were rumors. When I was like,
right.
I don't know if he confirmed. I was like, I don't know if he
may have hinted,
even in the position to confirm. Yeah.
You know what I will say, just in general for this Superman movie, I am feeling like I really want to see this film. I'm really hopeful, which wasn't a feeling I had with the previous stuff. I felt that was bungled. I just feel like this may be more my kind of Superman movie.
Same.
And even just the little bits and pieces, like my co-host Richard just complains and complains and complains about all the people they're throwing into it. But I'm kind of happy that Metamorpho's in it and Guy Gardner's in it and Crypto. I'm hoping that it's kind of a bit more DC centric. It feels a bit more like the comics,
I mean, again, it's Zack Snyder's. It looked like he can see the whole universe through this dark, gritty lens, and it's just no, that's
just not the way to build a universe. I'm hopeful. Now, look, I've been disappointed before by many comic book films, including some of James Gunn's. I don't think James Gunn has a spotless record, but I do think that surely he's giving this 150%, if not more, laser vision, because so much is dependent upon this. They're relaunching the whole, film slate, really. And about time, and really they need to get it right, because they've got it wrong so many times.
Yeah.
So there's a lot at stake for Warner's and DC with this film, and I wanted to get your opinion on something else, Phil, while I'm here before we get into Punisher, because frankly, my summary of this issue will be: love it, 10 out of 10, one of the greatest comics of all time. I've had Mike Barron on the show going through this comic in detail, so I can share some insights from Mike Barron. But I wanted to get your insights. Did you see the IDW CEO? Did you see the news about him?
No.
Okay, so IDW has a relatively new CEO, and they're a publicly listed company, so he has to give these earnings call updates. And so he's giving an earnings call. He's basically saying they've almost run out of cash, blah blah blah. They've had a tough last 7 or 8 years, and he said if everything had panned out, we'd be all on yachts clinking glasses. That's what was his quote.
No,
and then he's like, but it didn't pan out, and he just came across like a real jerk. But also, it's today. It's out on the internet. I thought you might have been aware of it. That apparently, the thing is that he's saying that the page rate for IDW comics will not exceed $200 for everybody, including writer, artist, letterer, whoever. So he's cutting costs like crazy, and it's causing a real ruckus on on the internet, basically.
Yeah, that's not a good look when you're saying you're basically cutting costs for all the creators, but meanwhile the price of comics just keeps going up.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really bad look. It sounds like someone who's going to be going out of business within about 1 year. I mean, they've lost a lot of licenses as well. Like they were so license driven. I picked up on it. Ron Mars was on Twitter, and I don't mind some of the stuff he says. Actually, in fairness, like I think he's a fairly even-handed commentator. And he retweeted it because there were some guys. It's so funny. There were some real hardcore Turtles fans who were just like standing up for the CEO, going, "Hey, you guys don't deserve good rates because you're writing such shit comics," and like they were really taking that to the next level. Like it was these real. I know I'm a big Turtles fan, but these guys were like they bleed green, and they were just hilarious. They were like, "You should get paid $5 for this shit you're pumping out." Yeah. So there was that, and I thought you, Mister, with your 17 different shows, might have come across that, but hey,
you know what? I just saw it the other day. I saw something about a $200 rate, so okay, that's what that was. All right.
Well, it all came about. The only reason I know about it is because I clicked on the thing from Ron Mars. If it hadn't been for that, I'd be blissfully ignorant. That's the level of research I put into these things, Phil.
Oh, hey, I think I figured out why Ray wasn't here. Yesterday was Batman Day.
Yeah, no, I think that's a factor.
Yeah,
I think that's a factor.
Because they were playing a bunch of the old movies. Like me and my family went and saw 2 at the theater. I saw Batman. I saw Batman '89 in the theater for the first time in 30 years, and then
great movie, man. Great fucking movie.
And then I've seen it before, but never in the theater. But I actually finally got to saw Batman: Mask of the Phantasm in the theater.
Wow, I've never seen it in theater. It's a great movie.
Yeah, it came out like real quick in '94. I think it was like a real quick limited release. So yeah, I'd never seen it in the theater.
I remember getting it on when it came out. I watched it on video.
Yes,
and you've got to understand that, like where I was in Tassie, we were a long way from the action, and I watched that on video, and I was like, man, that is such a good movie. Like I really felt that was like such a good animated film, and at the time, I kind of wasn't aware of how much other stuff there was percolating. Like, so we sort of didn't get all the new episodes of the Batman animated series. They kind of just replayed the first season or 2. But I will say this, Batman '89, to me, I will forever be in this debt as a Batman fan because it just got me at exactly the right moment.
Oh, me too.
And I think Jack Nicholson is amazing in that film. You know? Like, I really believe Jack Nicholson is just next level amazing. And, people always go on about Heath Ledger. Great Joker, great performance. Don't forget about Jack Nicholson because he blew it up, When that film... You're about the same age as me, aren't you? Like, I'm 50. When that film...
I'm 46, so yeah, close.
Okay, so you're a few years younger. But when that film came out, okay, I remember... so well, it was just so dominant and so big. It was really as dominant in the cultural landscape as Avengers Endgame was. That was how dominant in terms of like everyone was talking about it. It was just like Batman was like number one. It was the
Deadpool and Wolverine that summer. It was.
and it got me at exactly the right age.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't super knowledgeable of the comics. Like, I'd read my fair share, but I wasn't like an expert. I loved Batman, mostly from cartoons, but that would have been such a pleasure to see them in the cinema again, I imagine, man. Like,
oh yeah, it was the best. And again, I had been just started reading Batman comics, and again, I was 11 years old when that hit, and like that was the only, besides the few comics I just started reading, I only known Batman from like Super Friends reruns and Batman
sure, yeah,
reruns. Yeah, and I'm like, this actually looks like the comic that I'm reading like right now. And again, 11 years old, it hooked me completely.
Yeah, totally. I remember roughly around the same time. I mean, like, give or take a couple of years, they did Lonely Place of Dying. I remember in the comics, and I remember reading it because, like, to be honest, my allowance only covered so many comics, and so a lot of them I would read literally in the like the newsagent, and I remember reading Lonely Place of Dying and all the stuff about all to do with it in the newsagent, and I was just so into it. Like, the Joker for me at that point, he was just a monstrous figure in my imagination, and that was all down to that film. And really, I think the whole Batman film franchise is forever in the debt of that movie, because I think that set the bar very high.
Oh yeah.
And like. And eventually you got things like Batman Begins and Dark Knight, but that wasn't until years after,
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's cool, man. So yeah, Ray's probably, like hiding under the sheets, like trying to read his Moon Knight, trying to pretend Moon Knight's as good as Batman, and from what I've heard from Ray, there's a bit too much card playing going on, Ray. I think Into the Night's struggling. Suffering,
I know. I mean, I saw at least one episode where Rebecca had to do Into the Night by herself. I'm like, yeah, Ray's too busy. Yeah,
Ray's too busy playing Snap and
playing with his deck on YouTube.
Yeah, like, wow, poor Rebecca's. He's just like, yeah, you handle it, I guess. Next thing, I'll get a call. Hey, Dave, can you do an episode for me Into the Night? I'll be like, dude, no. Like, I'll do Into the Night. I'll come on and go. Let's just face it. Let's make this a Batman episode.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh, that's what we should do. We should tell him we'll do an episode, and then just do a Batman.
And we get on. We just talk Batman, just 100% of the time.
Batman.
There was someone
character.
Yep. There's someone I'm trying to get on the show. I want to get Paul Kupperberg on the show. Actually, he does a lot of interviews, and oh god, there's someone else I'm chasing at the moment, but there's someone I want to get on because I listen to, actually, he does quite a lot of podcasts and a lot of Bronze Age stuff, and that's really my cup of tea in terms of, I love all that stuff, and he really, he was in the offices a lot, so he saw a lot of stuff. So I do want to get him on. We've had Elliot S. Maggott on a couple of times, and he's just awesome. He's such a nice guy to chat to. There was a hilarious moment in my interview with Elliot S. Maggott. It was so funny. I don't know if I told you this. So he did this issue of Superman Interaction. God knows what it was. But anyway, it's like, in Green Lantern, when Abin Sur dies and he summons, or however Hal Jordan comes to him,
yes,
I don't know what he does. It's okay. So he sort of reprises that scene, but the person that he was going to get was Clark Kent. Okay. And I can't remember the hows and whys and what for, but essentially Clark Kent's not available, so he gets Hal Jordan. So Hal Jordan's kind of like, in this story, he's kind of like the second choice, I guess. Anyway, so it's a good issue. Like, I think Kurt Swan does the art, or someone like that does the art. It's got a good artist. And anyway, it's like just before Crisis, and it's not long before Crisis. Like, it's about 85-ish, or 84. So anyway. So I talked about it because it was one of the last things he did on Superman, and Rich is like lying in wait, and then Rich has to tell Elliot S. Maggott, yeah, it's a good issue, although I have to admit I don't like that you made Green Lantern Hal Jordan, who's Rich's favorite, number 2 in favor of Superman, and it's like, thanks, Rich, for like telling the author.
Let me tell you how you're wrong.
Yeah, he's like. He threw him a flower at the start. He's like, He's like, yeah, it's a good issue, except for, and then started to give him notes, and it was kind of funny because Alex Mack was just laughing. It was almost like I barely remember this story, so whatever. It was so funny because some people could take that thing the wrong way. He didn't. He just laughed. He was just like, well, it was like 1984. What do you want me to say? If I could turn back time. So let's turn to, what number is it? Punisher
14.
Okay, so I'll give. It's a very basic. It's a Punisher 14. So this is when Mike Barron had relaunched Punisher. Will Potasio is the artist, who's a very good artist.
Mhm.
Actually, I really like his artwork. I've met him actually. In fact, I got him to sign this very issue.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I don't normally get anyone to sign anything, but he just happened to be coming to a Comic Con here, and I was like, well, he can sign this. The idea is so simple. It's a one shot that Frank comes in as a substitute teacher into a school that's your typical, in the middle of the fucking Bronx or something, or, like this school that's like massively crime infiltrated.
Yeah.
And he comes as a substitute teacher, and he's trying to track down something to do with a kingpin. But what he's really doing is eliminating some criminals operating in the school that have ties to the Libyans, actually, which I had forgotten. Because at the time, in the 80s, Libya was a big enemy. Reagan had shortly bombed them at one point. This is when they were the bad guys. And and anyway, so Punisher comes in. It's just awesome. Like, he's controlling the class. Like, he does, he kicks one kid out, like in the first scene, karate chops him and throws him out a window. And then there's one girl there who's like a good sort of student, and he's like giving her advice, and she has to take over teaching the class while Frank goes down into basically like the sewers and just eliminates these guys. Like, it's just gold, really. Like, great artwork, one and done, truly and very loosely connected to the other. Like Mike Barron in this series, there's a lot of stuff to do with the Punishers. There is a loose storyline running through the whole thing, but you can certainly read it as a one and done. I feel this issue and also the Chuck Dixon issue, Check Out at the Supermarket, are probably two of the best examples of late 80s to early 90s Punisher. I think it's done actually almost perfectly. A movie called The Substitute basically rips off this story, with Tom Berenger. Actually, a very good movie. It's literally almost this story. And a few years later, like mid-90s. But it's just great. Like, I basically would say to anyone who loves Punisher, you've got to check out Mike Barron's run on Punisher, which then bleeds into Chuck Dixon's run on Punisher. And it's just a golden time for Punisher. This is long before America was ashamed, of Punisher, and long before Marvel got scared. This is when they knew what they were doing. This is when the likes of a Brevoort were not involved. When actual professionals ran it, not cowards. So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. I mean, it was. I know it was a little crazy. I was like, wow, that's like, it seems like this a training ground for criminals here. Yeah, it is this public school. I was like, wow.
Well, dude, it was the 80s, man, and if you remember, there was a lot of crime.
Oh
in the schools, and there was a lot of
especially like New York City and stuff.
New York City. I don't know if you recall, back in the 80s, there was a really good TV show called Bronx Zoo, and basically the guy who played Lou Grant, I don't know what his name is, that old guy.
Ed Asner. Is that
Ed Asner? Yeah, he had this show. Bronx Zoo was awesome. He was like a beleaguered headmaster, and it was just cranking off. I used to watch it every week. I loved it. Yeah, man, it's a product of its time, but you know what? Like, crime hasn't gone away. There's still a need for Punisher. Bring him back from Fantasyland, Marvel. Bring back Frank. And bring the boys back home.
If you've been waiting for a story of Frank Castle fighting crime in a tie, yeah, this is the one for you.
And how awesome is the original suit too? Like the black with the big skull and the white sort of like things that almost go up to his knees. It's the classic look. I love the bit where Frank goes, reminds me of Nam. When he goes down into the tunnels.
Oh, into the sewer, yeah.
Like, what doesn't remind Frank of Nam is more the question. I love the two in page 10 when he's like, have to jimmy this utility closet. And there's two guys in there getting, I don't know if they're getting stoned. It sort of looks like they may be just getting a bit stoned. He goes, sorry, boys, you'll have to leave. And this guy's like, jive ass. and Frank's got the submachine gun in there. He's come to party. Also, I can tell you, you know the black teacher who comes down to help him and the other student?
Yeah.
They turn up an issue or two later to help Frank in a stand against the Kingpin.
Oh, really?
And and also a woman called Conchita, who was like, so Mike Barron kind of loosely tied together these characters and he brought them together. And there's a great line from Mike Barron where they say, one of the people says, you know, a chemistry teacher, a student, what kind of army have you got here, Frank? And he says the kind full of people that like to make a stand. And so that chemistry teacher and the kid both come to help Frank a couple of issues later. Unfortunately, at least one of them dies. But that's the other thing about Mike Barron. He doesn't pull punches here. And I also want to say, and I got to say the artwork is amazing. Like, I'm looking at this picture here of the tunnels, and it takes me back to Nam. They must have read the tunnels of Ku Chai. The city has an infrastructure like no other. And then you see all the tunnels and the sewers. It's pretty good artwork.
Oh, yeah.
And Frank's up there. And then how funny is it when he's like, I won't kill them, and I'll just use a concussion grenade, and then that guy drowns. And Frank's just like, oh, well. Frank's, it goes, the guy gets sucked into the whirlpool, and you can see Frank's just like, no big loss.
And they were like Mike Barron's kind of playing with, like, you know, as time has moved on, because like these dudes are like teenagers and stuff. And Frank's like, yeah, you know, if they had lived, my kids would have been like around this age and stuff. So
yeah. He thinks that, but then he in the next panel drowns the guy.
Exactly.
But then he does let one go. Kid, have you considered making as a regular citizen? I don't think you're cut out for this gangster stuff. Crawl out of the sewer, kid. Go back to school. Learn to read and write, or I'll kill you. Then he's like, I don't know why I did that. I must be getting soft. I'm like, yeah, real soft, Frank. Jesus. But you know what? I want to make this comment right now, and I want listeners to tune in on this. Frank Castle is not a monster, okay? He was depicted as such by some writers, and Garth Ennis certainly turned it more that way. But Frank Castle, as written by Mike Barron, is not a monster, okay? He's essentially a conservative guy who's come back from Nam, whose wife and family have been killed, who takes the law into his own hands, and if society won't punish the guilty, he will. He's a vigilante, but he's not a monster, okay? And there's a distinction there. And I think it's very important to remember that when people are trying to besmirch the Punisher's name in later years. And, you know, I won't even go into more detail than that, but it annoys me when people, he's just as bad as criminals. No, he's not. Wrong.
And again, I think, you know, sometimes the Punisher has the same problem as Batman. There's just like certain writers just kept amping it up till they just took it to, like crazy levels. And it's just like, yeah, that's not my
but
Batman.
You know what? He's not taking a gun to the park and just gunning down civilians.
Oh, no.
You know, that's not what Frank's doing. He's like the last line of defense in a crazy world. And the world is crazy, by the way. Shit's popping off around the globe as we speak. And things are not as black and white as you'd like to believe. And I just think Mike Barron nailed it. We, in our conversations with Mike, you know, we've talked Punisher. His run's, in my opinion, perfect. If you do like Mike Barron's Punisher, check out his biker novels. He writes a series of novels, best-selling novels. You can get them all off Amazon. They're excellent. And if you like his Punisher, you'll love his Josh Pratt, which is his biker character. He's a really good writer, Mike Barron, and a lovely guy. In fact, the first person I had on Signal to interview, it predates even Chuck Dixon. Chuck came on a couple of weeks later. So Mike Barron's been on the show probably 10 times, you know, or if not more.
Yeah,
Great guy.
I need to read a little more of his Punisher. Yeah, I like this one, and I liked his Flat. He wrote some like Flash in the late
Flash.
'80s.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Flash. Yeah. Yeah. Won an Eisner Award twice for Nexus.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And his badge is good too. He's a good writer. He's a really
Oh,
good writer.
yeah. Like I said, I enjoyed his Flash. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Check out like seriously, his whole Punisher run is pretty much perfect, and you can get all of it in the Epic collections
Mm,
and or in the omnibus. I believe they've.
yeah.
It's all in omnibus form. I've got it all.
And
I've
this
got
was
so
on the
much.
Marvel app too, so it looks like
It's on the
most
Marvel
of
app,
all his
man.
runs on the
Yeah,
Marvel app. Yeah.
just rock and roll. And all I can say is this is Punisher how it should be, and like where's Punisher right now where we need him most? You know what I mean?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, I know Erica Schultz brought the new Punisher in on Woman Without Fear right now. So yeah, so she
What's this?
let Daredevil Woman Without Fear, the
Right.
new series. Yeah. Elektra kind of kicked the new Punisher's ass.
Oh, you mean the fake Punisher, that like
Yeah,
fake
yeah.
one that.
Oh, I thought you liked that series too, in its way.
Yeah, it's okay. It's no, I
Yeah.
did, but
Oh.
I do, but like I
Well,
prefer Frank.
check out Daredevil Woman Without Fear because she kicks his ass.
Okay. No, I did like. No, in fairness, I did like that Punisher they brought in. But dude, it's so unnecessary to get rid of Frank
Yeah,
Castle to replace him. Like, you know how they were all like, "Oh, we can't have the skull
yeah,
because of like it was co-opted by forces we don't like." But there's a skull in the new Punisher,
yeah, yeah,
so it's like, what's the fucking difference? Like. Also,
yeah.
can I say, and I don't care if I sound like an old man shouting at clouds. I prefer Frank, who's come back from Nam, not fought in some
Mm.
imaginary war. You know, some of the best
Yeah, yeah.
Punisher is they go to the wall, man, and he looks at the Vietnam veterans and stuff. It's great stuff.
But again, it's like with sliding time and stuff. It's like if he was in Nam, you know how old he'd be right now.
But then make it Iraq. You know,
Mm.
like seriously, like make it a real war.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, okay, you don't want to make it Nam, which annoys me, frankly, but make it Iraq. Gulf War. Like, when was Gulf War? 20 years ago?
Or again, there's enough. It's
Afghanistan?
There's enough devices in the Marvel universe where you can keep him from aging. I mean, look at original Nick Fury. They still had him tied to World War II. They
Sure.
just gave him Infinity Formula and stuff. Do something like that with Frank.
Yeah. Look, there's so much you could do. He's such a
Yeah.
great character. This is 10 out of 10. This is 10 out of 10. I mean, where the hell's Ray? You know what I mean? We're missing Ray.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what he's doing again, playing with his deck and talking about that.
He better be playing with Punisher. He better be playing that Punisher card. That's the only way I'm going to forgive Ray right now.
The Hard Master.
Hardbuster, yeah. So,
Oh,
where are you on it, Phil? What are you going to give it out of 10, man?
It was pretty good. I'd give it. I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10. No, it was good.
That's acceptable, Phil. I'm very
Yeah.
happy to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah. It was good.
All right. Right on.
Did I see? I forget where they were putting it out. Maybe it's on new platforms, but I thought they were re-releasing like one of the old, or is it a game that never came out? There's some kind of Punisher video game coming out.
Really?
Yeah. I forget where if it's
The
like
classic one that was for the Xbox, probably the really good one.
maybe I forget if it was a re-release or if it was something that was supposed to come out but didn't come out.
We need it, man. We need it more than ever.
Yeah, I remember the one from like the early '90s. I had on like Game Boy. That one was weird.
There's a funny funny Spider-Man game where Frank's like trying to get him. He's like, "Come on, walk roller," and he's trying to shoot him like when he's going up and down the wall. He's like, "Come on, walk roller." I mean, one of the best Punisher appearances in media was in the Amazing Spider-Man '90s cartoon.
Oh
Remember
yeah.
With Frank with his bandana, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Like,
yeah.
But the 2005 game is a really popular one, I think. That could be the one you're thinking of. Punisher video game PS5. Let's see what's going to come up here. I don't know. Is the Punisher game...
Oh, here we go.
The Punisher War Never Changes is a 2025 action-adventure video game exclusive for the PS5. It's also going to be open world. I don't know if that's real. That could be bullshit.
Oh,
Yeah,
that'd be awesome if you just
that
like
would
drive
be.
around New York and
Here we
stuff.
go.
Yeah.
The Punisher video game gets gorgeous next gen remaster,
Yes.
but I'm not sure if it's actually come out yet.
No, I don't think it's out yet, but yeah, I think they
When
just
it comes out, I'll get it, and it is a really good game. They'll tone it down, man, because in that game, Frank was able to torture people and stuff. There's no way
Oh
they'll
yeah,
allow
yeah,
that.
I remember that.
There's no
Yeah.
way they'll allow that, because we're just, we can't possibly take into account that this guy, Also, can I say this?
Hmm.
I'll say this right now. This is what annoys me about Marvel trying to basically backpedal on Punisher. It's not like he's the only vigilante out there. Fucking, how many vigilantes have there been in pop culture and comic books? Why is Frank Castle just? Oh my god, we can't take that. But then it's like Ghost Rider's okay. You know, it's ridiculous. Like, I love Ghost Rider. He's just as fucking bad.
Yeah, but is it just I don't know? Is it the whole gun thing? Maybe
But others use guns. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's not the only guy to use guns. Like, G.I. Joe uses guns.
I know, but they're part of the military.
Grifter? Doesn't Grifter use guns?
I think so. Yeah.
He does. Like, if you do a little digging, it's so bizarre that Frank is apparently. Oh my god, I can't believe.
I mean, he became the poster boy for that in the comics.
Yeah.
I mean, look how popular Punisher was in the '90s. He had what?
I love it.
4 books. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Punisher War Journal, Punisher Warzone.
Warzone.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, man, I don't know what more you need from me, but he's the greatest of all time.
Yeah, I mean, he was part of that that holy group in the '90s where it's like, yeah, if you want your book to be successful, Spider-Man had to show up, Frank had to show up, Ghost Rider had to show up, Wolverine, yeah.
Totally, yeah. And if you think about Punisher, I remember when Garth Ennis, because the character floundered basically after they closed out, after Countdown, where Chuck Dixon closes it out and all the titles. Great story. Okay, so when all those titles all shut at the same time, the character floundered for at least 3 or 4 years before Garth Ennis picked it up. And Garth Ennis did a massively good job. What amazes me is Garth Ennis gave them back the chalice, in perfect condition, and Marvel have managed to ruin it.
It's so weird. What seemed like every couple of years they tried to give Frank some kind of gimmick, like the angel, he was an angel,
Terrible.
or I mean,
Frankencastle, so bad.
Frankencastle. I mean, they gave him the War Machine armor, which wasn't too bad, but I was just like,
it was okay. Yeah, that was okay.
They're not going to let him keep that.
No, it was okay for a bit of fun, but no. Marvel themselves are embarrassed of Punisher now, which is so sad. But Wolverine can rip people apart. That's okay. He kills. It just frustrates me. And frankly, you look at the people who are in charge, and you can name and shame them. You know who they are. It's the likes of Brevoort.
Oh my
and
lord!
Standing in the way.
Hey, that would be a great title for a Punisher podcast. Quite frankly,
it would be. Yeah.
Yes,
it would be. Frank Castle, one of the greatest characters in popular fiction. You can watch your Death Wishes, and then you can roll into Frank Castle, and life is good. The other thing I like about Frank is he takes zero shit.
Oh yeah.
He's just a hard charger. And that's one thing I love about him. He's a simple character, but he's almost perfect. And I don't think he's a complicated character. I really don't. I don't think there's a lot of complexity there. He's just very black and white in how he views the world, and that makes him interesting. And look, Mike Barron did a fantastic run. Chuck Dixon did an awesome run, and Garth Ennis, slightly different take, very close, does an awesome run too. So there's some really good runs of Punisher. It's not like he did 5 issues and done. There's hundreds of good Punisher issues, and Marvel, thankfully, just due to the sheer sales, have put out they've put out a fair chunk of an omnibus form, although they haven't collected Warzone, they haven't collected War Journal, which is a crime. But they have collected all of Garth Ennis's run, and they've collected a fair chunk of Mike Barron's run, if not all of it, in Epic Collections. So the Epic Collections of Punisher are pretty good. I'm trying to give listeners, you check these things out because you're in for a really good ride. If you stick to the good Punisher, you're in for a good ride. And don't forget, Punisher's going to come back in the new Daredevil show too.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So looking forward to that. And I enjoyed the 2 seasons of Punisher. I didn't think they were perfect, but I very much enjoyed them.
Oh yeah, yeah. John
great.
Barenthal, very good.
Great stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So, do you think, the whole thing with the Punisher? I mean, if you're a good writer, you have to write your own complexity into the Punisher. You can't rely on like gimmicks, and
Yeah,
that's the difference
I
between
think
a
very
good run and a
much.
bad run. It's like, yeah, you have to give Punisher something, but that's not just like a cheap gimmicky.
Look, I could write Punisher, now. I'm
Mhm.
telling you, a good writer who Punisher is not a particularly complicated character. You give yourself read like 5 issues of Chuck's run, 5 issues of Mike's run, 5 issues of Garth's run. You've pretty much got a character there. He's all about plot. You put Punisher into stories that are action based. You can have a little bit of reflection about the death if you want, but essentially, this is not a character filled with almost any self doubt at all. The only thing that's his holy grail is his wife and kids,
Mhm.
who've been killed. Essentially, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, you could touch on that a little bit, but most of all, he's driven by a desire to just bring down literally punishment upon crime. You know,
Mhm.
he essentially lives off in my brain like war rations. He's not about the money he takes off the criminals that he kills. He puts back into the war. So the concept of Punisher, like living in his van or living in like warehouses because he's got like safe houses. He's not about. He's not Bruce Wayne living in a mansion. Do you know what
Mhm.
I mean?
Oh
His
yeah, yeah.
life. His life is the war, and that's how to, in my opinion, how to write him. Like, no, nothing to do with fucking war armor, nothing to do with Frankencar. Like, reject all that,
Mhm.
strip away all that. I would try not to have him really be involved with the superheroes at all. I know Mike Barron was very much like, I don't want the superheroes in there. Any superheroes that are in his run were forced on him by editorial. Um, it's essentially, and that's something Garth Ennis did really well too. You know, he's in his own universe. There's not, in the Max run, it's just all
Yeah.
crime, everything. Like, yeah, I mean, you keep it like that. Like, it's not, you don't have to overcomplicate it because this is a guy who came back from Nam or whatever war you want to say. He came back from a horrible war. He was with his wife and kids in a moment of peace, a moment of sanctuary after the horrors of being a long way from home for multiple tours. And I almost think of him like American Sniper. You know what I mean? Like, he's a bit burnt
Mhm.
out. And then
Yeah. Yeah.
the mob kills him. Do you know what I mean? The mob leaves him for dead, kills his whole wife and family. He comes up, and then it's just all about wreaking vengeance from then on. And it's as simple as that. Like, you don't. That's everything you need to fuel him. He doesn't need a huge supporting team. The only person he really needs is a microchip character. Microchip or a microchip analog. That's all he needs. You don't need. It's not the Bat family. He doesn't need like a million sidekicks.
Mhm.
He has a few contacts that he gets information from. Chuck used a good one. I think his name was Mickey Falzoon or something. Mickey someone. He was like a low level mob guy who was an informant. Um, yeah, it's it. And then you throw him into stories like this story here about infiltrating the school. Chuck had one where he's like the supermarket and the people the smackheads come in to steal in the supermarket, and he just delivers punishment and kills them all. So you can have that. You can have him cracking down like child sex rings, like Garth Ennis did. I mean, there's so much crime. You can pick up a newspaper
Oh yeah.
and you can rip it from their headlines. That's the beauty about Punisher. So that's how to. I mean, if you want to ask me how to do it, that's how to do it. And
Yeah.
I don't think it's incredibly complicated. I think a good writer could do it.
Yeah, no, I mean, just the whole guest superheroes guest starring and stuff. I know just from our talks with DG Chichester, like he even said, they would advertise your stuff more and push it more if you had like, either like big guest stars, or if you came up with some
Sure.
big event with a big title and stuff, especially if it crossed over with other books and stuff. So yeah, a lot of that I think is probably marketing pressure. Just
Oh,
hey,
definitely.
yeah,
But look, here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you are writing Punisher, the Punisher fans who buy the book don't care about that. Do you know what I mean?
oh yeah,
The,
yeah, yeah,
the Punisher fans want Punisher, and that was when I said to Brevoort, basically I said, "What have you done to this character?" He's like, "Oh well, we stand by our story." I'm like, "Yes, but why?" The Punisher fans that you are looking to buy your book are hating it. So who are you pleasing? You know,
Mm.
like people aren't buying your book, and those who want to, people like me, hate it.
I,
So
I
you
think
know,
they're starting to realize stuff because I
yeah,
mean, if you see, I mean, they keep doing those miniseries like set in the '90s and stuff,
yeah,
so they must be selling well. I mean,
yeah, but they're catering to that audience that's the likes of you and me. You know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and of course, some kids who come in and go, "This is cool," because it's collected in the collections. But yeah, they are slow to get it, but they're very slow to get it, man. Very slow.
Yeah.
Don't
Well,
look. Here's a tip, Phil. Don't cut them too many favors, man.
oh no, no,
These
no. I'm not
fucking
saying no, no. I'm just
yeah,
saying. Uh, I think they thought they were going to get all these young fans, which they didn't. So it's like, guess who's
yeah,
paying the bills? Yeah, us.
yeah, exactly. And but if you're writing Punisher, seriously, remember who's buying Punisher. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
don't screw with it. Give them what they want and write exciting stories. I'm not telling you how to write what crimes to do or whatever. Like, but keep it crime based, keep it action based.
Yeah.
Don't shy away from the killing, and remember, at the end of the day, when you get down to it, Frank by himself, he pretty much just passes out thinking about his wife and kids. You know, like
Hmm.
literally, that's what he thinks of when he's asleep. You
Oh
know what I
yeah.
mean? Like this is a character who's mentally very strong in some ways, but in other ways is completely broken. You know, he will
Hmm.
never heal. There's not a happy ending for Frank because the the happiness was killed. So I mean, I'm going in deep here into the psychology, but that's in essence it. I think.
Do you think Ray was afraid to write talk this story?
I think Ray was scared. I think Ray was scared, and but like I think Ray will enjoy it when he listens because he'll realize the intensity. But I'm kind of enjoying it because without Ray, it's handed over to me, and I'm like, oh well, I'll take the podium, you know. So thanks, Ray. No, but
Oh,
Ray likes Punisher too, not at my
oh yeah.
level, but he's a Punisher fan,
Hmm.
so Ray knows what he's doing.
Hey, no, don't think we're taking it. I take it easy on any of these creators. Me and Lilith, yeah, we have we despise Zeb Wells' run on Amazing Spider-Man, which is coming
Terrible,
to an end here soon.
terrible.
The
Yeah,
day his last issue comes out, literally that night, Lilith and I are getting on here, and we are
yeah,
literally having a party. I mean, streamers. Lilith
love
ordered
it.
herself a Spider-Man cake. I mean, we're having an actual party.
Dude, I've been listening to a little bit of you guys recently, and you are very good. I like it. I like your ambience. Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, Zeb Wells as Spider Man has been a complete fiasco. Oh,
Oh
yes,
yeah, most of the internet will agree there. Yes.
but it's like you succeeded in making nobody care. Like if your goal was to make nobody care about your run, you succeeded. Um, that takes some doing because Spider to me. And I'm a Spider-Man fan, dude. I
Mhm.
own fucking hundreds of Spider-Man, issues really. And I've read so much. The thing is, Spider-Man is the heart and soul of the Marvel universe.
Yes.
Basically, he's the premier character, and people should care about what's going on just with Spider-Man. You know, if you're a Marvel comic book fan, part of you should be thinking what's going on with Spider-Man. Right now, Spider-Man is just so far out of the conversation
Hmm.
as a as a character. I don't mean obviously the symbol of Spider-Man is big, but I mean his storyline in the comics right now. It's like nobody cares. And that's just a failure of the creative team. So, you know,
Yeah, no, me and Lil said it's like you gotta bring that marriage back, the Mary Jane. Again,
oh please,
you can
yeah,
milk us for a big wedding special. And we said,
oh
you know,
please.
we need a honeymoon special drawn by like John Byrne and Todd McFarlane, you know.
You know what I would do if I
Hmm.
was? I mean, he's alive. I would give Roger Stern a call.
Oh yeah,
I'd
yeah,
give
yeah.
Roger Stern a call and say, I always think of this line. It's time for a little bit of old fashioned. You know,
Hmm.
like that line in Captain America. It is, and that's not an insult. Like Roger Stern's one of the greatest comic book writers I think that's ever been.
Roger
And give him a
Stern, or give it
yeah.
back to, or give it to Tom DeFalco and Ron Friends for a
Oh,
while again.
please,
Yeah.
please do that.
Hmm.
I would be thrilled if they did that.
Oh yeah.
Um, and you know what? Like, why not do it? Because no one gives a shit about Zeb Wells' Spider-Man run. Like, dude, like nobody fucking cares. Like, I'm just looking forward to it being over so I can look at the next thing. You know,
Hmm.
because
Oh yeah.
I love Spider-Man. Like, he's a fantastic character. I mean, let's not forget Punisher started in Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Jerry Conway, who we've had on the show. He that was his episode of I'm struggling to recall if it was 137, something like that.
129. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
129. I was close. I
Mhm,
was close. Yeah, but a lonely soldier fighting a lonely war. I remember it. You know,
mhm, mhm.
great origin issue actually. Really,
Yeah, and when you
Punisher.
think about it, Conway was pretty young when he came up with the Punisher. So it's not like
Yeah.
some old man came up. No, he was young.
No, he was young. He would have been in his 20s, I imagine. It was before he went to DC, mid 70s. I don't know exactly what year, but probably about 75, 6, somewhere around there. Maybe a bit earlier.
Yeah, because
Um,
because I
74.
think he started at Marvel as a teenager. So yeah,
Yeah.
he was probably maybe early 20s, if that.
I've got a lot of respect for Jerry Conway as a writer. He's written a lot of good comics, and not
Oh
all of
yeah.
them get a lot of attention. Like
Huh.
he's a really good writer. Like he did a lot for comics. Yeah, no. So look, kids, Punisher's a great character, and I think you're right. Eventually, the wheel will turn. I mean, crime's not going anywhere, dude. Crime is
Mhm.
as prevalent as ever, you know, and street crime is still around. I saw today 4 youths um, dressed up, looking to make trouble in the supermarket car park. They're the kind of people Frank would have cleaned out,
Oh wow.
are swearing, carrying on, shouting, screaming, doing all sorts of crazy shit on some sort of drugs. I saw it from a distance, and you know, I just walked the other way, but Frank Castle probably would have cleaned them out. You know?
See, no one around teaches young punks a lesson.
Yeah, exactly, man, exactly. So at the end of the day, if I could recommend people's runs, read the Mike Barron Epic Collections. The Chuck Dixon run's awesome, and Garth Ennis's run. They're really the basics of what you. If you cover those, you've covered really the
Mhm,
really essential Punisher. You know, not
mhm.
saying this other stuff isn't good. I love some other stuff, but that's the stuff that I would focus in on if I was a reader coming to it, going, "This Punisher character is cool." That's where I would go.
Yeah, there was some good yeah, I just thought of it 'cause you mentioned like Roger Stern.
Mm,
Like when people ask me about Captain America, I say there's like almost like a 20-year run where it's like such great writers. You start with Roger Stern, it's like around 247. Then you jump to JMD Mateus.
good run.
Then you go to Mark Grunwald, who's there for like 10
Yeah,
years.
he's a long run. Yeah,
And after him is Mark Wade. I'm like, you go from Roger Stern to Wade. There's a big, huge chunk of that's like my
it's
favorite
a great
Captain
run.
era. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's a great era, and don't forget Brubaker in the
Oh yeah,
2000s.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I love Brubaker's run. No, Caps had some great runs for sure, and I've
Mm.
read all those runs you're talking about. Roger Stern's run's awesome. James Mateus's run's awesome too. They're all different,
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
And Mark Grimwald's it's an awesome run. It's very different from those two.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, no, they different character Captain America too, much more team based. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
um, Punisher's a solitary animal, you know,
Mhm.
solitary character. He works best in a very small. Him and Microchip were perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that was all they needed.
Yeah. Well, again, Captain Captain America is such a different animal too because
Totally.
because the era he was born and raised in, and yeah,
Mm. Great character.
no,
Great character.
just
You know,
like Frank was a product of Vietnam, Captain America was
sure.
a product of World War II. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I totally agree with you, man. Oh God, Steve Englehart's run in the '70s is very good too.
Mm-hmm.
Of Captain
Hmm.
America. Had him on the show and
Oh,
talked about it. Had him on the show and talked about it. Very interesting guy to chat to about Cap. He had a really good run. He had the run with Secret Empire, the original Secret Empire run,
Yes, yeah, they
and
led into the Nomad stuff. Yeah.
Nomad. It was really really interesting. I've got the omnibus actually. I I have all of Brubaker's Cap because I
Mhm.
love that. To be honest, that was chef's kiss. I thought it was fantastic, but I love that Nomad stuff so much. I bought the omnibus, which covers his whole run.
Mhm.
It covers some other stuff that I probably wouldn't read, but just that his run. It's not hugely long, Steve Englehart's run, but it's really good. It's probably about 20 issues.
Yeah,
Something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
And
Yeah,
again, yeah, again, just that whole Secret Empire stuff, and basically just
it's
calling
great.
out the Richard Nixon stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it comes down to the president, who's the head of the Secret Empire. He
Uh huh.
crash lands on he crash lands on the White House lawn, from memory, I believe.
Oh, Cap chases him right into the Oval Office. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah, it's awesome. It's actually really awesome. Like
mhm.
it's they did stuff. That's something else. I think they were more courageous, not just the writers, but what the editorial stuff would put out than they are now. You
Yeah,
know?
why I think the biggest problem now is like I'm sure it comes from up above up
Yes.
high, but it's like you have to worry about what they're doing in the movies and the TV shows. Back in the day, they were just like, "This is a story I want to tell." You didn't have to worry about TV shows, movies, and stuff. It's just like, "This is the story I wanted to tell about." Who Captain America is, who the Punisher is.
I think they should probably get back to that
Yes.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
if you think about it, if you think like one thing they shouldn't do, Marvel have this obsession with killing the character the second they're in a movie. I don't understand why they do it, but they do it all the time. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Um, but like if you think about it, in these Marvel movies, Cap is Cap. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like the Captain America in the Captain America movies and the Avengers, he's Cap.
Yeah.
Essentially, he's not. He's what you think. Iron Man is Iron Man. You know, like don't worry about the nitpicky, like little continuity glitches. The essential character is
Yeah.
pretty much the character that most comic book readers would recognize. So I wouldn't be too worried. Like they're fighting Thanos. Okay, well we fought Thanos a million times in the comics,
Yeah.
so it doesn't really matter. So tell interesting stories with the characters. Don't deviate from them, and trust that. Like, and some of the characters no one gives a shit about. Like no one cares about fucking Ms. Marvel or the other character America Chavez. These are characters that they have such small fan bases
Hmm.
that it doesn't really matter. So if you had the misfortune to be given that title, I don't think you need to skew so closely to what's in a movie
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you know,
Again, they think if they make the characters close to the movie as possible, they're going to bring in new readers. And I've literally talked to comic shop owners who are.
mm,
I know the one guy was like, you know what? He's like, an Avengers movie's out, Black Panther's out. I don't see any bump in those numbers, like
no,
selling any more books. No.
which is a shame because it tells me there's a failure there somewhere. It's probably as well a failure in not just in marketing, but it's a failure in their actual own product. Like their delivery system of getting it into people's hands has failed. You
Well,
know?
they should have a commercial during every one of those movies saying, if you love this,
Yeah,
go to your comic shop, go to wherever you go out into the lobby of your theater. There should be a spinner rack of comics or something. Yeah, no, just
there
push the
should be.
product.
Well, because I can tell you when I went to see Batman '89, Batman numbers were soaring in the comic
Mhm.
shops.
Oh yeah,
Like a lot of kids like me, we got turned on hard to Batman by that movie. We
yeah.
were buying comics, and a lot of us, excuse me, were buying right around that era. We're buying like Dark Knight Returns, but a lot of people bought Dark Knight Returns after seeing the film. Do you know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like a lot of casuals. So it happened then. But you're right. One thing I said was one of the Avenger movies came out. Like it was when Marvel movies were the number one. It was
Yeah.
one of the Avenger movies, and Jason Aaron's Avengers run was teeing off. So in a rare example of Marvel knowing what they were doing, they had a Avengers one issue that was coming out the same week as Endgame or Infinity War. I forget which.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I said on every ticket they could have put a download code to
Yeah.
digitally download that thing. Why not? Like they put shit in loot boxes, you know,
Mhm.
like, why not do it? Like, what are you going to lose? Like, it's like you already give this away for free elsewhere. do that and see if that actually bumps the sales. Like, be a bit ambitious, but instead they don't do that. They
Yeah,
raise
or even if you
prices
don't
and
want to
they
do the
just.
whole issue, be like, here, download this code, get a 5-page preview of Avengers #1.
But dude, I'd give them the whole issue because let's face it, these comics today, they
Oh
they
yeah,
they stretch. Like, what I'm saying is, you need to actually do things like that to
yeah.
try to bring some readers in. Because I'm telling you, if Black Panther 1 movie made a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
Black Panther 2 didn't, but Black Panther 1 did. And if you're telling me that the comic book owner isn't seeing Black Panther sales rise, then they're never going to rise
Yeah,
because he'll never be as big as he was then. That was his moment,
yeah,
When
and it,
Black Panther
yeah,
came out, that was a big moment.
yeah, and again, it's just distribution too. Now you have to find a comic shop. Like back in the day, you know, I could pick them up on the newsstand, like you
It
said,
was
your
in the news
news
agent, yeah.
agents. Yeah, yeah. And again, we could walk into our grocery stores back in the day. We had spinner racks. They were everywhere, but now they're not.
But also I wonder if I don't know, like some of it's digital as well. Like I read a lot digitally, even though I own a
Mm,
lot of comics, like a lot of omnibuses and stuff and hardcovers. I do read a lot digitally. I find digitally great. Probably maybe they're priced a bit too high. That's one thing I would say.
mm-hmm.
But if you take advantage of sales and the apps, they can
Oh
be
yeah,
very reasonable. So a lot of it comes down to, I think, advertising or whatever you want to call it, they're not making them aware enough because
no.
these kids today are going to be on their tablets all day long.
Mm-hmm.
You know, well, I have a tablet and I read comics on it all the time. I find it a really good mechanism. So there are ways to do it. I don't think they've really invested enough in it. Um, so you know, those of us who know about it, and we know where the sales are, and we get great sales, and we're like, "Oh, sweet! I just pick up this massive Batman volume for $2.99." Well, yes, please. Or I pay my subscription and I get Marvel Unlimited, and I can go through all the Marvel stuff. It's actually a really good service, but
Mm-hmm.
do they advertise it enough? Probably not. You know, so I'm past worrying about their problems. Also, can I say that? Like
Yeah.
they've failed and they continue to fail, and until they bring Frank Castle back from Fantasyland, I'm not happy. You know,
I mean, I could see it coming when that new Daredevil show comes out. I could, because they love.
please.
Yeah.
And I'll jump on board and we'll review every single issue. And I did like that guy who did that Punisher run, but at the end of the day, he ain't Frank Castle. You know,
Yeah.
he's a pretender of the throne. Yeah, the guy did a good comic. There's no offense to the guy. It was a good comic. It was very readable. I enjoyed it. But yeah, Phil, I think we've probably solved most of the world's problems tonight.
I think so. If they listen to us, yeah.
If they listen, maybe Brevoort, this one comes back to him, and some stinging truths for him.
Mm-hmm.
Alone in the Hall of Mirrors, man. Him and CB sitting there looking at each other, going, "We don't have the answer." Yeah, no shit, guys. It's very obvious. It's
All
very
right.
obvious.
Well, Ray, if you were here, you could have picked the next thing, but you're not. So too bad. You're going to.
And Ray, you're being punished. There'll be no Moon Knight for the next year.
No.
Yeah, we're canceling Moon Knight, man.
No. I was thinking next time because it'll be the October episode.
Yep.
I think something. I'm thinking 2 Peter David Incredible Gray Hulk.
Awesome.
I'm thinking issue 360, which is Joe versus Nightmare and Despair, and then 362, which is Gray Hulk versus Werewolf by Night. So
Please, let's do it.
yeah, so yeah, I'll put those on the
100%.
schedule. Yep.
Can I ask a question? I don't mean to sound insensitive.
What?
Have we heard any update on Peter David's health condition?
I haven't seen anything. That's what I've been curious. I'm like, yeah, I wonder how
Well,
he
it
did.
means it's probably not good news.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he had multiple strokes, man. That's not normal.
Yeah.
Good news.
Yeah, unless he just wants his privacy. But yeah, no, I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, such a talented writer. Really, I think he's done so many good comic book stories and also novels. Yeah, man, let's do that. I'm down for that. And let's get Ray. Ray, enough with this Marvel Snap shit. Come on, man. Like, fucking Ray somewhere filming himself playing cards. Like, dude, he's one step away from filming himself playing solitaire.
With
and
that
just putting
deck
it on the internet.
with his deck in his hand. I know.
It's just like, come on, Ray. Like, you could have been part of this discussion.
Yeah, Ray.
We've been lobbing bombs around, man. Like, I've been throwing people under the bus like crazy.
What
Ray,
the
you could have been part of this gleeful destruction. You know?
What the F?
Yeah, Ray. Come on, Ray. Wake up, Ray.
Yeah, I mean, he has too many other things on his mind.
Sex on the mind.
Yeah, Ray's right now probably deciding whether to play, Scarlet Witch or Nick Fury in some sort of bizarre card game that he's playing with himself.
Go ahead, throw it in.
The awesome thing is Ray has guys who harass him about the card game as well.
Really?
Yeah, it's awesome. He has like haters. It's great. Like it's like these guys who are watching you play the cards and they're like very critical, and it's like get a life doesn't cover it.
I know. Well, Ray's too nice. He's probably like, oh me, oh my.
Ray's way too nice. I would tell these guys where to go. I've had a few guys come after me on Signal, and I've just said, "Hey, fuck off." I'm like, you're not going to get an apology, so forget about it. Like, just
Yeah,
keep moving.
it's just internet trolls sometimes too, or just looking for a fight.
Exactly. Yeah, they're looking for a fight, and it's like whatever. All right, Phil. I think we've covered it, man. But 10 out of 10 from me, 9 out of 10 from you.
Yes. All right. So yeah, before we get out of here, tell people Signal of Doom. Where can they find you?
Signal of Doom is a comic book and comic book movie podcast I do with my friend Richard every week. In fact, I just put the new episode up just before this. We're weekly. I think we've done 370 episodes. We've got a couple of spin-offs, a Judge Dredd podcast called Dread or Dead I Do with Adam, and a Legion of Superheroes podcast called Legion Outpost. But Signal of Doom is where it all happens. So check us out. We're on all the major podcasting apps. We're on Facebook. We're on X. We're everywhere. Signal of Doom.
Oh wow! Yep. Check it out. It's hot. It's fresh.
It is very fresh.
All right. So yes, and again, you could find send us your thoughts. Again, Incredible Hulk 360 and 362 next time. Send us your thoughts. Email us Capes in case because we might need some content if Ray decides to be a fancy man on
You're
show.
telling Ray.
CapesandLunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And you can find episodes, social media, merchandise at tubespace.io/CapesandLunatics Podcast Network. And please help support our Patreon. Lilith and I give you something uncensored, exclusive every month. I mean, we got done everything this year. Talked our road trip. We talked the work of John Byrne.
Cool.
Hell, early in the year we did we reviewed the AVN Awards, the Adult Video News Awards. Oh, please ask Lilith. Lilith is a connoisseur of pornography. Yes, yeah.
Good for her. Good for her. I say, yeah.
Yes, and the new episode.
Natasha Nice, one of my favorites.
Oh my. And of course, and then the latest episode we're about to record is we're gonna rank the movies of the Alien franchise. So
awesome.
Yes. So
really, the argument as always is Aliens or Alien better. I know I prefer Aliens, but Alien is also very good.
Oh yeah. So please please subscribe at patreon.com/CapesandLunatics.
Cool.
All right, kids. So unlike Ray, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Oh my. I don't think Ray should pick an episode for the rest of the year.
No, Ray's forfeited his rights, basically. He's almost going to be stripped of his citizenship the way it's going.
He's going to be a man without a country.